If you've been thinking about going on a Christmas cruise, this video is for you. I'm going to share with you the good, the downsides, because there are a few, as well as some tips to make it the most memorable cruise ever. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. Now, a few years ago, we went on a Christmas cruise. It was something that I really always wanted to experience. We had sailed before Christmas, sort of after Thanksgiving. We had sailed on a few New Year's cruises. We knew we loved them, but I really wanted to see, was Christmas as magical on a ship as it seemed like it would be from the advertisements? Now, I have a lot of really great things to say, but I did find that there were a couple of downsides, and I just want to be honest with them so that you know if this is for you. And at the same time, I'll also share some tips with you of some things that you can do to make this cruise the best cruise ever. Now, before I get started, I did want to mention that if you like this video, if you find it helpful, informative, or enjoyable in any way, then please do give the video a big thumbs up. I truly do appreciate it. And at the same time, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let's get started. Now, to share our own experience, we were sailing on the Regal Princess, and we were doing a 7-day Caribbean cruise. It started off, I believe, on December 23rd, so it really was a true 7-day Caribbean Christmas cruise. Now, for people who wonder, did it really feel Christmassy enough? Was the ship decorated? It was absolutely gorgeous. From the moment that we walked onto the cruise ship, we walked on and we entered through the piazza or the atrium area, and the decorations were gorgeous. A green garland, gold and silver balls, bows. Crew members were greeting us in Santa hats. There were Christmas carolers singing. It really did feel very Christmassy. It was absolutely beautiful. Now, if you've ever wondered who sails at Christmas time, we really did find that it was a wide variety of people. There were definitely a lot of families on board. There were a lot of multi-generational families at the time, so children, parents, grandparents. We also found a lot of couples of really different ages, but some people that we had met on board told us they were maybe a couple that were perhaps in their 50s or 60s or even their 70s, and they said that they would see their family after Christmas time. For whatever reason, they didn't necessarily live close by to where their children and grandchildren were, and they wouldn't see them on Christmas Day. So this was a nice way for them to celebrate on board. And again, when it came to families, while other people were celebrating Christmas on board, and this was even sometimes a Christmas gift for the entire family. Now, you might be wondering, what were the shows like? Did that feel Christmassy? What was the food like? Was that traditionally Christmassy? So I will get into all of that, including the activities that they had on board as well. So in our experience, almost all the shows were of a Christmas or a winter wonderland theme. Now, that was mostly during the evening time. So if you didn't really absolutely love that, the other alternatives were the piano bar or a martini bar, or sometimes some things like some game shows that were going on in some of the different lounges. And that was definitely a lot of fun. But on most cruises, we've seen hypnotists and maybe some comedians. And on this cruise, I can't even recall if there was a comedian. I definitely know there was no hypnotist, but I don't think there were really any other type of guest entertainers other than things that really pertained to sort of a holiday or a winter wonderland theme. Now, on the Regal Princess, you have the large outdoor movie screen, the movies under the stars, and there were a lot of Christmas movies that were playing. There were, during the day, Christmas concerts, and even during the day, there were some classic Christmas movies playing as well, like including Home Alone. And this was definitely a popular area during the day for kids and families, especially because this is the main pool area. We tended to hang out a little bit more in the adult pool area, the retreat, where I happen to really like it, but this was definitely a very fun area, and it did seem like people were having a really good time. Now, some of the activities that they had on board included gingerbread house decorating, so this was quite popular with kids, and I think some adults as well. There was a Christmas choir that people could join, and I believe they sang it was either on Christmas Eve or on Christmas Day. And throughout the entire cruise ship, you really did hear Christmas music. The decorations were outside of everybody's cabin, just a little decoration. So it really just did feel very Christmassy, very holiday-esque the entire cruise. Now, one thing that I really do like is hearing Christmas music in reggae or even calypso. And you'll hear that a bit on the ship with the band playing, But you hear that as well in the cruise ports, and it definitely makes it just a fun, festive atmosphere. If you always thought, well, I couldn't celebrate Christmas without the snow at home, decorated palm trees, and calypso or reggae Christmas music, you might be surprised at how you can get to enjoy that. When it came to Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, those days in particular, there were really some special things planned. So on Christmas Eve, the band and the crew and some of the singers, well, they were all singing Christmas carols, and all of the passengers joined in, and kids were joining in, and kids were dancing. It was really special. The decks, like throughout the atrium, were just full of people, full of happiness, singing on Christmas Eve. And then on Christmas morning, really special, it was Santa. Now, this was really a time that parents and even grandparents were taking photos. The ship photographer was taking photos as well. But this was a really nice time for families. And I would say Christmas morning was really a time that a lot of families were giving gifts to their own children, were celebrating together. There was a story time a little bit later in the morning. I believe it was somewhere around lunchtime. And a lot of people were just walking around the cruise ship in their Santa hats, in their Christmas pajamas, which is going to lead me to a couple of tips that I have for you in just a couple of minutes. Now, I know people wonder about Christmas dinner. What was that like, and did they have a traditional Christmas dinner? So first, let me just say, during the rest of the cruise, really all of the food was just very typical of a cruise. So the regular menus that you might see. But for Christmas dinner itself, yes, it was traditional. I believe it was actually made to be a formal night, so people really did dress up. It was very, very lovely. Even the children, when normally I don't find they necessarily dress up that much, I guess because it was a time that people could take photos with their families and it was Christmas, it was really beautiful and elegant to see how people did dress up a little bit for Christmas. And yes, it was a traditional menu with different choices, of course, but there was turkey and cranberry and potatoes on the menu. I believe there was ham, although I'll be honest, it was a couple of years ago, and anything that's a little bit pre-pandemic is getting a little bit foggy in my brain. But they definitely had the turkey and the cranberries, and that was good. I would say perhaps mine at home might be a little bit better, but I'm not serving it banquet style. And one of the special touches I think that they had for dessert is the waiter came with a tray of Christmas cookies, and they looked like small traditional Christmas cookies, really very handmade, something very lovely, almost like you would make at home, or maybe your grandmother would make, just very pretty shapes of Christmas cookies. Now, before I share the downsides or maybe some of the bad things that you may not like about a Christmas cruise, here are some tips if you are going that might be helpful. So firstly, here are some things that you should bring with you on a Christmas cruise. So bring a Santa hat, bring Christmas pajamas for everybody in the family, really things that you can wear around the ship on Christmas Day, or in particular that the kids can wear around the ship. As well, you might want to bring an ugly Christmas sweater. I know that on some cruise ships for Christmas cruises, they do have that ugly Christmas sweater contest, and that could be a lot of fun. Now, some people decorate their cabin, so you can bring a small tree if you like, or you could bring some door decorations if you like, and that can be a lot of fun as well. Christmas cruises do tend to be pricey, and I know that's oftentimes one of the reasons that people say that they probably won't do a Christmas cruise, even if they would love to do one. But something that I've heard from many families is what they do for 1 year is they choose to forego the Christmas presents for everybody in the family and instead make this Christmas cruise the present for the whole family. And during the year, you can ask family members and people to give them gifts towards spending money for their cruise. You can even plan a family shore excursion, maybe swimming with dolphins, just something that everybody's really always wanted to do. And even some of the gifts that you might want to give your kids that year could be things pertaining to the cruise. So maybe it's the bathing suit that they wanted, or maybe it's snorkel gear. There are just a lot of ways to make the cruise itself the gift for that year. Okay, so now for the downsides. Now, obviously, this is an amazing cruise. Overall, we absolutely loved the cruise, but there was something in particular that really did surprise me. It just wasn't something that I expected. So I think it's just something to be aware of when we do a cruise during the holiday season. and that was that the crew is a little bit melancholy. Now, don't get me wrong, the service was amazing on the cruise ship. They are great, they are helpful, but I think just as cruise guests or passengers, you have to be aware that they are away from their family during this time of year, and whether they celebrate Christmas or another holiday at that time of year, that is really traditionally for almost everybody in the world time that people spend with their family, and it's a little bit, I think, bittersweet when they are working during that time. In speaking with a lot of the crew, this is definitely the sentiment that we got from many people. So something to consider is that you might want to bring something for your cabin attendant or your waiter, something a little bit extra beyond the regular tips for a Christmas cruise. So you may want to give them a holiday card with an additional tip. Let's face it, cash is king, so most people say that's what they really could use. As well, we've been told that they like chocolates to share with one another, but it does seem like cash is the most appreciated gift. And the other potential downside, and this is definitely not a reason to not book this cruise, but maybe something to be aware of depending on what you like and what you don't like, but it is that there is a lot of Christmas music on board. So if you're worried that it won't feel Christmassy enough, it definitely felt very Christmassy. Now, I almost hesitated to say this one, but I did see a comment a couple of days ago, and I thought, well, if somebody else feels this way and I noticed it a little bit, maybe some other people would just want to be aware. So there is a lot of Christmas music on board. Now, personally, don't come after me. I love Christmas music. I actually really like it up until December 25th. And after that, it starts to wear a little bit thin. So on the 26th, just a little story, on the 26th, we were walking through the buffet on the inside and we still heard the Christmas music. And I started to notice it because it was very like a muzak kind of thing. It wasn't the nicest Christmas music compared to a band playing, let's say. And so I did notice it and I thought, I wonder when they're going to stop the Christmas music. Well, on the 27th, I heard the song, I'll Be Home for Christmas. And I really did think, in 363 days, when does it stop? So in any case, that is a little bit of not really a bad thing, but if Christmas music is not 100% your thing, or if you celebrate another holiday and maybe you're like, I don't want to be 100% inundated with everything Christmas, as much as it's fun and as much as it's joyous, it may be a better cruise for you to take like 1 week before the Christmas cruise or the New Year's cruise, or even 1 week right after the New Year's cruise. Now, the other potential downside, I know some people ask, are there a lot of kids on board? So yes, during Christmas time, it is the holiday season. There will be a lot of kids on board. I did not find them to not be badly behaved. They definitely had the kids club and other activities, but there definitely were a lot more kids on board during Christmas time than I had seen on New Year's sailings in the past. Now, I'm going to leave a video right after this one about what you can bring from home to save money on a cruise, which is especially handy if you are going on a Christmas cruise. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And of course, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Bye for now, and happy cruising.